All right, this went from a one-on-one interview with me and Russ Fulcher into a oncoming political potpourri, if you will. We have Congressman Raul Labrador, who's stopping by. Just wanted to say hi. Congressman, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
By the way, let me get this out of the way. Russ Fulcher, Congressman Raul Labrador.
Yeah, you look familiar. I think I've seen you before.
Russ Fulcher.
Russ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fulcher.
That's it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I know him.
Okay, very good. I just in case. Yeah, we don't plan anything out here. It's radio with our hair on fire. But we are talking about a topic that you might know something about as far as history goes, and as far as both of you goes, as far as whether or not to increase gas tax, how to fund Idaho roads, the structure for this. Russ, you and I have been talking about this for weeks. You know, it was one of those things where we saw gas go to 179.
We knew it was coming.
Yes, this was coming down the track that, hey, 179 a gallon gas, somebody is going to get the idea to increase gas tax. Now we have a couple ideas.
Stage is set, and there's a couple of significant proposals. One is in the form of legislation. The other one is just kind of at the talking stage mode. But in a nutshell, Nate, the one that's in the form of legislation right now is kind of an omnibus type of bill, which means there's a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's a gas tax increase, a diesel tax increase. It's ongoing. 1% per gallon over time. There's a fuel transfer fee. There is a registration fee increase on cars and on trucks. And then it continues on. There's a special impact for electric cars, hybrid cars, and some general fund money. It's an omnibus bill. In other words, it's if it rolls, if it walks or passes through a cash register, the tax is going up.
Okay.
That's number one.
That's number one.
Number two is a little more simple, and I think it's more reasonable, but that's opinion-based comments here. That one has to do with an increase in a sales tax by a penny, but have the elimination of the grocery tax, and then a flat tax on corporate and individual income tax, and lower that at about 6.6. So it's simpler. I think it's easier to defend, but those are generally speaking the two things on the table.
So, and as far as days gone by, this was being championed in olden days when both of you worked together in the same building.
Thinking about 2009, Raul, is that right?
Correct.
This isn't being championed by the governor. This is being championed by, right now, state transportation. This, Idaho Department of Transportation. Any politics in that, or is just who's going to take the lead on this?
Well, I think that there's some opportunism going here. I mean, yeah, we need to do something about road funding, but with the gas prices down, the economy up slightly, the stage is set, and I think that the transportation stakeholders on that front are poised to lead the charge to try to make something happen.
So, which idea is going to go through, Russ?
I don't think the first one is, at least in its entirety.
Okay.
It's probably going to be a hodgepodge of the two, but I think it's coming. Raul, what do you think? I mean, is this inevitable?
I don't know. I've just been reading about it. I'm concentrating on the issues in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to let you, Russ, and the local audience discuss this issue.
Well, okay, and you know what? Let's get to the issue that you did come in here for. Let's talk about and Russ, hold on a second, because I want to talk about immigration. That's actually the second topic we come to today, where we talk about a federal judge basically telling President Obama, no, you can't break the law. You just can't write law. We have an entire department for that. Slow it down. What is this injunction?
Not an entire department. We have an entire branch of government that deals with writing the laws.
This is checks and balances at its best.
Exactly. You know what this judge did, and we need to be really clear, he didn't say that the actions were unconstitutional. All he did today is he stayed the president's unconstitutional actions. He said that the president could not proceed with his actions because there still needs to be hearings and he needs to have a whole trial. So this judge only said that there was sufficient evidence to believe that his actions were either unconstitutional or illegal, and that we needed to move forward with the lawsuit that Texas and other states have filed.
So this was supposed to, the executive action was supposed to start going into action on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, correct.
So how long is this block in place for?
Well, the stay is it's going to be indefinite but the administration is going to appeal the stay to the Fifth Circuit.
Sure.
I think the Fifth Circuit will probably stand with the judge. The Fifth Circuit is a pretty conservative circuit,
okay.
And I suspect that they're going to stand with the judge. Then they're going to appeal that to the Supreme Court, and I don't know what the Supreme Court may allow the stay to stay.
Okay.
And then what you have is a real trial. Then the administration and the attorney generals of all the various states that are suing are going to have to present evidence that this action is A, unconstitutional, and B, it's illegal. Those are two separate standards. So if you look at the lawsuit that the states have filed, they said that first the president went outside of his authority to do something that Congress should do. But they also have an alternative form of relief. They say that even if the actions are constitutional, they're saying that the president needed to go through the Administrative Procedures Act, that he needed to actually have hearings and allow the people to comment on Administrative Procedures Act action.
Not just sign a piece of paper.
Not just sign a piece of paper.
So by the time this is appealed all the way to the Supreme Court, what are the chances that Congress passes immigration reform to avoid an entire court battle?
Well, I think what the president should do after this court's ruling is that he should step back. I think he should allow Congress to do our constitutional duty, which is to have the debate on immigration reform. We could pass something in Congress. It's not going to be what the president wants, because what he wants is full amnesty for the 12 million people that are here. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be something that will eventually fix the problems that we have with the immigration system. He should step back. It would be what the American people want him to do. This is why the Democrats lost the election. They wanted us to do two things. They wanted us to prevent the president's unconstitutional actions on immigration, and they wanted us to repeal and replace Obamacare. I hope that the president looks at this as an opportunity for him to work with Congress, but I suspect that he won't, because he, unlike Bill Clinton, if you remember, Bill Clinton would work with the Republican Congress and allowed things to happen in Congress that he didn't want. And guess who gets the credit for those things now is Bill Clinton. When you talk about Congress under Newt Gingrich, there's two major things. We balance the budget and we pass welfare reform. Who gets credit for those two things today?
We. It's for today. It's Obama.
It's
you would want it to be Congress, but
correct.
today it's Obama.
But under Newt Gingrich, it was Bill Clinton who got the credit, even though it was Congress that balanced the budget and it was Congress that passed welfare reform. But look at how smart Bill Clinton was, especially in comparison to what this president is doing. He was able to do what they call triangulation. He actually stole the Republican ideas, made them his own, and now today he gets credit for it. And I hope Obama takes a page from Bill Clinton's book.
At the end of the day, we've spoken about this before. Congressman Labrador joining us in studio. Russ, you have a question? You have a question for
No, I think he makes a good point.
What is the difference between the ideas and the reform that you have set forward, based juxtaposed to his executive order? What are the two main differences besides of how to get them done?
Well, the main difference is that he puts the 12 million people that are here illegally ahead of fixing the immigration system. If you remember what happened in 1986 when President Ronald Reagan, he allowed an amnesty to happen. He allowed that amnesty to happen because he was promised two things. He was promised that enforcement was going to start happening and we were going to have a serious system of enforcement. And he was also promised that we were going to have a guest worker program that worked. Neither one of those two things happened, and that's why 3 million illegals turned today into 12 million illegals. If we fix those issues, if we do enforcement first, and we fix the guest worker programs that we have in the United States, then we can talk about what we're going to do with the 12 million people. But what the president wants to do is put those 12 million people ahead of the line, and that's going to create potentially having maybe 20 or 30 or 40 million illegals in the United States. That doesn't fix the problem. That actually weakens our immigration system. And I think that's what he's trying to do.
Going back to talk about transportation, Russ Fulcher joining me in studio. We've had a couple years in the recent past where Idaho has had overages. We've had a surplus. We've taken in more than they've spent as far as the general fund goes.
Right.
And we've had the discussions. Do we give it back to everybody? Where does it go? What does it take from a legislative end to say, well, if we have $10 million in surplus, and I'm pulling a number, how much of an act would it be to say, well, why don't we just fix $10 million worth more in roads?
Right. And you know what? That can be done. And that's one of the benefits of the argument of utilizing general fund dollars for transportation is you've got some more of that flexibility without putting something in code or in order to make something like that happen. It's interesting, though, Nate. You know, I served for the last 10 years. And we had a time during that window between 2009 and 2011 where the revenue to the state through taxpayer funds was down almost 25%. It's 24%.
Right.
And you know what? I got to tell you, it's amazing what you can do when you absolutely have to. And I think that during that window of time, the Transportation Department did pretty well. They rebid everything. They got multiple bids. I think they squeezed every dollar. And you know what? I want to see that every year. I want to see that when gas is $1.89, not just $4. I want to see that when the economy is growing, not just shrinking. But any way you slice it, something's going to happen this year. I think that the appetite is out there, and I think that you're going to see a combination of these things in the name of transportation funding.
Russ Fulcher joining us in studio.